Hello, my name is Kyle Rumptz, and today I'll be discussing Marty Cagan's book, Inspired: How to Create Tech Products That Customers Love. I'll be giving a brief overview of Marty's findings, then transition into a couple things that I found surprising, and I'll finish off talking about one of my favorite brands and organizations, Crunchyroll, and how they could be doing more with their product, as well as how they could be partnering with customers to improve upon their products and offerings. So to begin with, just a little overview of Kagan's book. He begins by talking about different levels of organizations from startups to enterprise level companies and the issues that product development teams are facing within these organizations. Particularly, he speaks to the trade-offs of autonomy as well as integration, which we see across all of these organizational sizes, but we see manifesting largely in enterprise companies where they have 10, 20, 50 different product teams all working in conjunction together. Throughout the book, Cagan is very critical of the waterfall methodology, speaking to inefficiencies that are born from that method, particularly with wasted time and effort, as well as not having enough fluidity in their process to actually be innovative. He speaks to the fact that many organizations saying they are lean and agile today are actually doing waterfall, and he is a strong advocate for moving away from that waterfall approach to having more risk assessment at the front of your development, having consistent innovation and iteration throughout the development process, and always holding customer needs and problems at the forefront of what we're working. He speaks at length about missionaries versus mercenaries, missionaries being those advocates and evangelists for the product as well as for the customer and the problems that they're facing, rather than a mercenary, which is that hired gun, that cog in a wheel that is just working away at a task until they hit results that their PM outlined for them or organizational KPIs. He is strongly in opposition of traditional roadmaps for a lot of the same reasons that he is opposed to the waterfall methodology. This is because it is very stagnant, does not allow for a lot of iterations or innovations. And he specifically quotes Jeff Bezos, who says they are stubborn on vision and flexible on details. This is important because as long as you have a strong vision and you're flexible with details, you're able to constantly be iterating and making sure that innovation and customer problems are at the forefront of the solutions you're working on. He introduces techniques such as OKRs, or objectives and key results, and then finishes by talking about the product development team culture and the need that they have for intense experimentation, a huge emphasis on the value of customer insights, as well as advocating to have a collaborative discovery process. So now that I've chatted a little bit about what the book covers, I wanted to just jump into three things that I found surprising. The first of which is the involvement of reference customers throughout the product development lifecycle. So typically, in my experience, organizations don't work with customers until they have a prototype or a soft product that they can show and then work through issues customers may have. However, in this framework, having 5 to 6 different reference customers that you're speaking to throughout the product development process, ideally a couple hours a week, every single week, allows for greater discovery, but also that collaborative iteration process that I'd mentioned earlier. The next thing that I found surprising and honestly quite refreshing was his emphasis on qualitative value testing. So in my experience, again, most organizations I've worked for have a huge emphasis on quantitative data and put qualitative kind of in the corner and don't focus on it that much. That's typically because numbers and data are easy to extrapolate, hard to argue with, and easy to identify trends. But By using the qualitative value testing, as Cagan says, it's more for a discovery process, finding out what those problems really are. Because oftentimes when you ask a customer what the problems are, they might give you an answer, but if you're not doing those qualitative value testing, you're not digging into those deeper levels of what might actually be causing that problem and what you need to be solving as a product development team. The final thing that I found surprising and honestly thought was kind of contradictory and didn't fully agree with was Kagan's ideas on the employee profile of product managers. He says that they should be experts in every facet of the product development team, including but not limited to data analysis, coding, marketing, general business practices, etc., etc., which on paper in an ideal world is wonderful. However, I found it contradictory to a lot of the things that Kagan was preaching throughout this book, which is he likes to highlight the need for a flat hierarchy, autonomy within teams, but also having cross functionality and collaboration. Now, with the employee profile that Kagan is advocating for, I believe that that's antithetical to having a flat hierarchy, specifically when he says things like PMs should not be delegating things such as data analysis. They should be such an expert on it, they should be doing it themselves. I also think that that becomes a breeding ground for micromanagement, particularly if the individual product manager believes that they have more expertise in a given field than one of their team members that is tasked with doing that. So now that I've discussed some things that I found surprising and gave you an overview of the book, just wanted to transition to speaking about one of my favorite brands, Crunchyroll. So Crunchyroll is a anime streaming website, but they also have a storefront where they sell merch that's related to titles that they have within their library. So as far as product ideas that I have for Crunchyroll, I believe there's a intense need and opportunity for them to expand their verticals into both a digital manga reader and also including more cosplay options within their storefront. Uh, to me, this is a logical next step, but also anecdotally speaking, I've been in anime and manga forums for over 15 years now, and I see this problem brought up every single year. So it's genuinely a little surprising to me that Crunchyroll, who is the leader in this space, hasn't been making steps to improve upon their product in this regard. Now, for how they'd actually be carrying this out, I just want to transition to speaking a little bit about how they could be collaborating with their customers. So, because there is a need for this, but it seems that that is not something that is highlighted to Crunchyroll, I believe that they're missing out substantially on working with reference customers throughout product development, as well as that qualitative value testing. And on a more high level, I think that they just need to be doing more in the discovery phase of product development. So, by speaking with customers from both verticals, both the anime only watchers and consumers to the storefront only users, and then maybe a batch of reference customers that use both. I think that these opportunities would become incredibly apparent, and that would allow for Crunchyroll to improve on these products by expanding the verticals that they are in. So today we chatted about inspired, how to create tech products customers love, told you some things that I found surprising, and then finished off with product ideas and partnerships with customers that Crunchyroll could be doing to improve upon their product. So thank you.